Hi and welcome back to the channel and the build of our WRX in the shed. So let's get on to the roll cage. Yeah. So the roll cage has finally arrived, and no, you're not seeing double, there is actually two here. What we actually ordered was one weld-in kit, which we were going to put in the new car that we're building, and the other one was going to be a bolt-in half cage that was going into a customer's Impreza that was going to be used for Carnicross and rally sprints as well. However, for some strange reason, the supplier has sent us two bolt-in kits rather than one bolt-in and one weld-in. And part of the reason we were using a weld-in kit or doing a weld-in roll cage was actually for this build to show you guys what it was required to weld in a cage. So it's changed our plan slightly. Now I have been onto the supplier this morning and they have said, yep, look, no dramas. We're happy to send you a weld-in kit if you want one. However, I think we might go with the bolt-in kit. We'll show you that instead. Reason being is that it's really a time factor. Basically, what's going to happen is if we wait for them to manufacture it, it'll only take a day or two for them to manufacture it. However, freight at the moment has been absolutely woeful. TNT, really, you haven't done yourselves any favours. This kit was ordered and paid for weeks ago, and it's only just arrived, and that's very, very average. And that actually arrived in two separate deliveries. One happened last week on Thursday and then waited a full 4 or 5 days and then Tuesday the following week dropped the rest of it off. And it wasn't that you dropped off the main hoops first or any of the major components. Instead, you dropped off side intrusion bars and mounting plates. So there was absolutely no help to us whatsoever. So thanks for that. That wasn't too flash. And so we don't really want to go through the waiting period again to wait another 2-3 weeks. And it's why it's been a bit slow on delays for updating the series on these videos. However, it does change a few other bits and pieces around for us. And we'll have a chat about that. Now, if this car had been a rally car, there would be a no-brainer. We would have immediately said, listen, send us a new weld-in roll cage, kit for it, and we'll weld it in tower to tower, particularly considering we've gone to the effort of stripping out the entire interior of this car, and that includes the dash. And one of the reasons that we were going to use a weld-in roll cage, apart from showing you guys what we were doing here, was that it allows the A-pillar bars, so the bars that run along the windscreen side of the car, to follow the windscreen right down and then drop down behind the dash or through the dash, which is one of the major benefits. However, with a bolt-in cage, instead, the bar will actually turn and come in front of the dash. So this leads to the discussion between weld-in roll cages and bolt-in roll cages. And look, here's the philosophy. Basically, it doesn't matter whether you're going for a weld-in cage or a bolt-in cage, both will save your life. That's how they're engineered. So in terms of the structure of the cage and what it's designed to do, there's no difference. I know some people feel that bolt-in roll cages are not as safe as weld-in cages. And look, in saying that, the cage actually has to be engineered properly regardless and constructed properly with proper clamps and or welding. Doesn't matter what kind of roll cage you've got in the car. If it's not installed properly or constructed correctly, it's going to be weak and be dangerous. So that aside, let's assume that it is safe and properly engineered. The thing is, a bolt-in cage goes into the shell, but it's not really tied into the shell as such. It's bolted in, and sure, it can have a few mounting points on it. However, a weld-in cage actually ties the whole shell together better. So it means that the car can survive some pretty heavy impacts, and sometimes you can actually almost cut the car away from around the roll cage and weld in new panels or new sections of the car, and the car will survive. Also, a weld-in cage stops some of the movement, particularly if you go tower to tower. That means from front suspension towers to rear suspension towers. It stops the flexing in the car in the middle. So it keeps it all tied together, which means that the suspension, in theory, should work better. This news for us is not all bad because a bolt-in cage can actually be fitted quicker. just like that, the main hoop's pretty much in the car. There is some advantage to using bolt-in roll cages, and I suppose one of the big ones is if you're doing this sort of stuff at home or in your shed and you actually don't have all the proper gear like welder and grinder and drop saw and bits and pieces that you need, well then a bolt-in cage, just basically line all the tubes up in the right places first, drill all the holes, bolt it all in, and it's pretty much done. On the last video I talked about the suspension for the car. Well, we sent that out, got that all looked into, and it turns out it's all buggered. Well, the last car was rolled end over end and side for side as well, so it's not surprising that all the dampers in it are shot. So what we'll do is we'll keep the springs, which are still in good condition. The actual dampers or the shock absorber part of those struts, they're all going to go to scrap. They're no good for anything. And we'll make a decision. What we might end up doing is use the heavy-duty springs with standard struts for the time being, and then fit some better gravel rally struts down the track. So with a couple of big weekends of motorsport coming up, it's going to take a bit of a back seat to get this thing further progressed. So hopefully in the next episode, I've got a full roll cage install for you as well. So thanks for watching this short video on the update. Please like and subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and I'll catch you again soon. Cheers.